set of a variety of different topics in our portfolio, and it's important from our program perspective to really show and be very proud of the results we have in project. Usually we're shy about our results, we don't show off, but it's very important. I mean, we have to be realistic, not oversell, and really be to stay credible, but it's also very important to explain to the people, to the politician, to the citizen that, okay, we are investing here money in good things and have good results. So please be proud and sell your project. So we have a set of projects from medical to oil and gas inspection, flying robots, robots for manufacturing for SMEs, and then more research-oriented, still with some application strands, which is a long-term autonomy of robots, and the Wear Hub, it's about haptics and wearable, and then experience is a more research project to go into the learning from experience or learning in robotics. So first I give the floor to Ariana and Professor Melzer to present Futura. So.
Yeah, thank you very much. So Ayana Menciashi was the coordinator of the project, and I was in charge of the medical coordination. So we formed a very nice and effective team to meet the unmet clinical needs. And what was our purpose? To close a gap in the area of treatment, to destroy tumors. And one of the most promising technologies is focused ultrasound surgery, which is a transmission of high energy into the human body without any cut or insertion of any catheter device. That's why we call it non-invasively, but still causing tissue ablation, destruction, and later a necrosis, which we want to see in medicine when we want to destroy tumorous tissue, but keep the healthy tissue alive as much as possible. So there are certainly kind of energy deposition is a mechanical energy, is a sound wave that creates heat, basically due to friction. And there's also a non-thermal effect, which you may know from ultrasonic cleaning baths, where you see tiny little micro bubbles, it's called cavitation, appearing that mechanically disrupts tissue. It has a very high level of safety because it's not entering physically the body through a cut, and it has a very high target precision. So in the history, as I said before, focused ultrasound was used, and we had several applications. None of them were really very successful over the years, mainly due to the lack of control where exactly the focal spot sits and exactly to avoid tissue damage of those areas we don't want to tackle. There are two ways to apply focused ultrasound surgery. It can be done, of course, with ultrasound control to position a certain target, and later in the 90s, there was a development of using the focused ultrasound inside an MRI scanner, and you see there's a huge increase of use over the time and a very rapid growth now because of evolving technology on both sides, focused ultrasound as well as diagnostic ultrasound. You see here an overview from the FAS Foundation, American organization that deals with the use and supporting the clinical use, and you see a huge variety of applications. There seems to be almost no barrier, but very important for us in medicine. You see FDA approval, and what we are all not quite happy, reimbursement. You see there is no reimbursement really. There are some ways to get money for these procedures, but this is still a lack, but we have approved techniques available in MRI-guided focus ultrasound as well as ultrasound-guided focus ultrasound. So why is there then a need to develop? Current systems are limited only for a certain dedicated target or in a certain technical arrangement for prostate use or breast cancer, and it's not cancer, it's breast benign lesions. We are very careful in treating cancer because we really have to know about the cancer treatment, and it is a time-consuming procedure. It lacks a bit the flexibility, the use, the imaging is not entirely appropriate, and most important, we have no real option to monitor exactly the procedure. So the plan was to use robotics for much more precise positioning, to use a diagnostic ultrasound probe, state-of-the-art from any ultrasound vendor, and then a specially developed confocal probe for therapy, for applying the focus ultrasound, and diagnostic ultrasound for monitoring. And the problem was to have both robots working accordingly in the same area, but also working on a human, and humans around the robots, as you all probably well know, one of the key issues to use these robots in medicine. This is a setup with conventional robotic arms, and you see here in the animation how the procedure works, controlled via optical navigation. Also Kinect is included, and this is was a concept of positioning in the kidney tumor imaged by the diagnostic ultrasound and then targeted with a focus ultrasound, also allowing compensation of respiratory motion, which is a problem of these intra-abdominal organs. So here were a lot to develop to make this happen. There's a bit of a competitive product, not really competitive, is a linear accelerator positioned by a robot arm, also compensating motion of the patient, but using aggressive ionizing radiation. The difference to focus ultrasound is it's non-ionizing radiation, has no cumulative dose, and can be applied in iterations and many times without harming the patient. Also, the energy deposition is very efficient, is 98–99%, whereas even in the best proton therapy system is not more than 90%. So, and a lot of side effects appear in radiation. So, a huge benefit for ultrasound. So, we want to, in comparison to the CyberKnife, use an ultrasound-guided focus ultrasound delivery. The treatment was very important. So in these interdisciplinary medical projects, first the medical people have to identify the unmet need, then the way things can proceed, the procedure definition, and we worked according to medical device regulatory pathways. So we have a pre-treatment imaging, registration, target identification, also learning about motion, therapy planning, then the treatment itself, target identification, sonication, lesion assessment, and then the evaluation of the treatment. And this then combined with other conventional medical imaging, pre- and post-operatively MRI and CT scans. So this was the starting phase. Now I hand over to Ariana.
So thank you, Andreas, for the introduction. The first point was to find ad hoc models for the assessment of the procedure. It is essential in a project like this where you cannot go directly on living tissues, and so we developed many different models for testing the accuracy and effectiveness of the therapy, in vitro phantoms, ex vivo tissues, and also porcine, kidney, and other embalmed organs with perfusion in order to be sure to have an effective evaluation of the therapy. Then the first part is the pretreatment. During the pretreatment, we have a 3D ultrasound scanning. Then we have the organ registration with image fusion between the CT scan and the ultrasound online imaging, and the therapy planning to identify the window, the ultrasound windows to have the therapy and the monitoring of the therapy. The second part is the treatment. The treatment has been done on static target to evaluate the precision and the overall procedure. And so we found a solution to have the continuous monitoring of the lesion also during the treatment by playing with a different window of activation of the therapy and switching off for seeing with the other probes, the lesion growing. The treatment was also done on moving target by using tissues on sliders at 1 Hertz approximately, just to simulate the breathing. And we were able also in this case to have a good treatment with good accuracy by identifying a ROI of interest and following this ROI during the therapy. The treatment is also possible between obstacles, for example, ribs that are a sort of shield for the organs, because the transducer was fabricated in order to switch off and switch on some annular part of the transducer, and so to enter between ribs. And for the users, it's very easy to understand if the lesion is possible or not, depending on this online simulation, giving different colors to different areas and position of the robot. So the post-treatment is the assessment of the lesion that can be online by using ultrasound that is already integrated. It was done also in phantom and ex vivo tissue with an optical assessment. And as the very final result, the final shooting accuracy after offset compensation, so after the first shoots, was less than 1 millimeter. And less than 1 millimeter is very good because it is inside the cigar shape of the focus of the Focus ultrasound transducer. Other implementation for managing safety during human-robot cooperation includes the use of Kinect sensor, also for having an online simulation of the robot's position, and a smart sensorized polymeric skin to be used around the robot, the ABB robot, to be have safe contacts in case of accidental contacts. So finally, we set up a novel robotic platform for ultrasound-guided Focus ultrasound and also validation workflow. This was a major result of the project. We assessed the functionalities in vitro and ex vivo with dedicated models for targeting, syndication, and lesion monitoring. The very last slide is this one. This is technologies not only for clinicians and roboticists, but also for novelists. John Grisham published this very small booklet, The Tumor, that is a sort of presentation of these technologies that was he was really fascinated by this.
Thank you so much. While we are switching PC, we have time maybe for one quick question. Any question from the audience? From the content, from the exploitation of the project? Oh, there is one question there.
Once we move back on HDMI.
And a very nice project indeed. My question is if it would be beneficial to close the loop by having sensing devices that could measure the heat transfer to healthy tissue to add an extra level of safety to not harm healthy tissue while you do the treatment. Thank you.
Yeah, this is what also indicated in the beginning is a problem. With MRI, we can measure temperature very precisely, but we have a very confined a highly regulated environment, and we wanted to develop something that can be used in an OR or in a treatment area. And ultrasound has an option to image the hardening of the tissue. It's like the egg white cooking. The soft egg white becomes hard, and the technique is called sonoelastography. It still is a bit of a delay, but it's equivalent to temperature. A certain hardening of a tissue is based on a temperature change. It must be at least 60 degrees Celsius, and you can see the process. So that's what we want to implement, and that's why we were suggesting to use a really high-end conventional diagnostic ultrasound to monitor, and all these machines have this available, and they're in all the hospitals. So we don't have to develop this as an extra tool. But you're absolutely right, the real temperature mapping on-site would be beneficial. Perhaps to say that MRI temperature mapping is not measuring the temperature, it's measuring the proton shift according to temperature change. So there's no direct measurement in both worlds.
Thank you. Welcome to this session. So the goal of this session is actually to give the opportunity to the project we just selected in the last call to make the case for their project and really introduce themselves to the community. And it's a good way also to start discussing with the other project which might have some common goals. And also, if you are interested by their research, so please go and visit their posters. So there will be a poster session right after this session, and it will be just before the exhibition. So since after this you will all rush for coffee, so please stop by the poster session, which is just when you go down in the same floor as the coffee, just before the exhibition room. So out of this call, we selected 16 projects, and then we have an additional as well to deal with non-technical issues, so legal, ethical issue as well, and societal issue as well. So I'm going to, so we have all the presentation in a single, gathered in a single presentation, and each of the presenter is sitting in the front row, and one by one they will come to present it. So, oops, of course, I'm here. So this was the result of this H2020 call. So the first topics we will address today is the healthcare topic, and in that topic we have selected 3 projects, one on prosthetics, one on helping care home system, and one on surgical robotics. And the first one we are going to present is the cyber leg, so a cybernetic lower limb cognitive orthoprosthesis project, and this is a follow-up of an existing project. So I give the floor to Nicolas to present it.
Yeah, good afternoon to everybody. The objective of the CyberLegs project is to improve the quality of life of transfemoral amputees. In particular, those amputees that have vascular problems and that they usually do not use any prosthesis. The idea is to develop both new prostheses and new exoskeletons in a modular way that can be used in several activities of daily living and also during the rehabilitation process. We start from the results of a previous project, an FP7 project. Actually, the starting point are several advancements from the technological viewpoint in terms of series elastic actuators, novel kinematic solution for exoskeletons, and non-invasive interfaces, and some prototypes about prosthesis and exoskeletons, and proof of concept in terms of new bio-inspired solution for control strategies. This in strong, actually is as an input for a strong synergy between academia, industry, and clinics will actually be the methodology that we will follow. And the idea is to basically validate from both economic viewpoint and clinical viewpoint the technology. Of course, we address impact from the scientific viewpoint. We want to increase the market readiness of this technology. We want to assess efficacy of the solutions and the viability of, from the economic viewpoint of the solution. And we want to get an impact in the healthcare domain, improving quality of life and giving new solutions for the treatment of vascular amputees. And of course, also beyond the amputation issues in other lower limb impairments, in particular with exoskeletons. Of course, we expect to help young companies like one of the companies in the consortium to grow up. And of course, we expect a significant impact from the economic viewpoint. Of course, what you see here is a quite optimistic view, but actually dreaming is an important ingredient in this project. And that's it.
Thank you. Oops.
Our project is MoveCare. Actually, it's tackle the problem that have to face people when they get old, especially pre-frailty people who get a recovery nursery home maybe too early with respect to the possibilities. And what we see is a large number of different components that only put together and developed further can help tackling their problem. And the idea of MoveCare is to provide the basic high-level functionalities for keeping the elder at home alone in a safe way. So we aim to develop monitoring, assisting the elderly in some of the typical functions, and provide the way to give them activities that promote socialization. That actually is one of the drives that delay the onset of possible cognitive and physical decline. On the technological aspect, we aim to develop indexes that evaluate the complex system that comes out from the interaction of the different components. And actually, the overview of the platform that we are going to develop is the following. We will have a domotic system to acquire information from the environment, smart objects, to acquire information of the interaction with object for physical monitoring. A virtual community will be the basis for social activity, an activity center that will promote these activities to the single elder, a robotic platform that will work as a movable, say, node to provide these activities, and we will integrate all these components through a virtual caregiver and with artificial intelligence that will promote the best suitable activities, look at these activities, and derive cognitive and physical indexes of possible decline. And one of the peculiarities of this project is that we are not aiming to put anything to the elder. He will continue the life as he was doing before, and we will try to put all the intelligence distributed inside the environment. As far as the robotic platform, we have chosen already existing industrial platform, that is the ERF platform, and we will develop it further to make it an empathic companion, looking at proximity and how to the virtual caregiver can interact through the robot with the elder. And actually the impact that we are envisioning is try to transform the third age into a good period of life. Usually third age is associated to decline, but old people we think have a lot of richness for their experience, and we want that this experience can be distributed to the society. And again, tighten also the bonds with the parents and other caregivers that usually live in other places. On the other side, we hope we can help national service providers to better allocate resources and develop a new model of care that can take into account also technology. And from the technological point of view, besides evaluating this from the functional point of view, a structural point of view, this heterogeneous system, we are aiming to explore how to combine and have some guidelines and some determinant on how to develop gamification and robotics inside the ambient-assisted living. So, thank you.
Tanya, welcome.
Hello. Good afternoon. My name is Tanya Dungermadzi. I'm from Bristol Robotics Lab in the United Kingdom. So Smart Search project has been set up to investigate current limitations and opportunities to advanced robot-assisted minimally invasive surgery. We have brought together 4 surgical partners, 4 user participants, 3 academic partners, and 3 companies interested in medical robotics to develop new robotic technologies for 3 surgical use cases. Minimally invasive surgery has become now an established alternative to open access conventional surgery, providing sufficient evidence that it can actually offer better outcomes for patients than conventional surgery. It is unfortunately currently limited to only a certain number of surgeries, and due to limitations in the existing robot-assisted technologies. Medical robotics market currently takes about 1/3 of the overall service robots market, and due to the increasing population will actually expand further in the years to come. Our ambition, our goal is to improve the efficiency of the current minimally invasive surgeries and also to expand applicabilities to other surgeries where the open access is still the gold standard. In order to do this, we would like to improve the current robotic abilities, to improve efficiency and accuracy of the surgery, to reduce the surgery time, and to also reduce the length of the training that junior doctors require to attain the skills. Our proposed methodology starts with the user-centered development through short develop test cycles and keeping the clinicians at the center of the development. The 3 academic partners are working on new master-slave instruments to improve access and articulation, and also to improve precision in the surgery, to develop haptic feedback and improved visualization for enhanced situational awareness, and virtual reality glasses and dynamic active constraints to provide safe surgical manipulation. Of course, the impact we are hoping for is to address the surgeries that have a high incidence and high cost and currently receive little research attention as economic impact goes. For the social impact is that will be realized through designing more effective but also more affordable and widely used technologies for better patient outcomes. And we believe that academia and industry will more widely benefit from improvements on various aspects of teleoperated robotic techniques. That's it.
Thank you. Now we move to